Daytona Beach, how are we this morning?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, I heard somebody. All right, got to wrap up the conversations, gang. We've got a great presenter this morning. 1 Million Cups Daytona Beach. We're part of the Kauffman Foundation 1 Million Cups program, hosted around the country. Over 100 organizations like us, all volunteers, and all here for the entrepreneurial mindset for supporting local entrepreneurs. Kauffman Foundation runs it. We are sponsored here by Volusia County Economic Development, Lou and his gang, and they help provide for us to use the Cinematique facility here, which is one of the best facilities you'll ever have for an event like this. Jed, is he in the back, or he's probably out front right now? Anyway, Jed provides the coffee, Cinematique takes care of that, so thank them on your way out. There he is. Thank you, Jed. Every Wednesday morning, chapters like us meet around the country at 9 o'clock, talk about entrepreneurial programs and ideas. We'll have a presenter here come up. For those of you who are new, the way this program works, I got to introduce our organizers first. Charlie's over here, helps organize the whole event here that we put on. Val is behind the camera. Casey's over here on the side. Sean is out. Jason is here right there in the middle. Who am I missing? Anybody else?
That's it.
Me, Tom Jordan. Hey, if you're interested, this is a great opportunity for you to get involved in something. So if you want to be an organizer, you're thinking about it, you can ask any one of us. We'll be glad to talk to you about what's involved and how much you'll get paid, which is zero. But that's okay, because you do meet a lot of interesting people and have fun times like this. So for those of you who are new, getting back to that, for those of you who are new, we'll have a presenter here this morning, 5 to 7 to 10 minute program, presenting their business idea and talk about what their challenges are, what their opportunities are. And after that, we'll have somebody, one of us will be walking around with a microphone, and you can ask questions, offer ideas. If you're in a similar industry, offer your experience to help them grow their business. So we'll be walking around with the microphone. Just raise your hand if you have a comment, idea, question at that point, and we will get to you. We'll try to recognize you. But first, I want to recognize anybody who's here for the first time. Raise your hand. Very cool. Let's start over here. Stand up, tell us a little bit about, tell us your name and what you guys do.
I'm Aziza, and I'm the community manager for co-working, where we rent office seats and co-working space and conference room time. We're a 4-minute walk away from this station here, right here in Orange Avenue. So it's great to be here. Everybody is super friendly, and I'm grateful for the experience.
Very cool. Sunny, right behind her there.
Hi guys, my name is Sunny. I work in music merchandising, and I found out about 1 Million Cups through the Blue Innovation Challenge. So I'm happy to be here and looking forward to being here with you.
Yeah, we're going to have him as a presenter here soon, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. Who else? Raise their hand back here. I see somebody?
Oh, Arthur.
Arthur.
Hi everyone, I'm Arthur Patricio. I help my customers tell their story to their customers on the radio. So I work with WROD, which is 95.1 FM, Daytona Stop Radio, and I learned this event from a few folks at the Port Orange Chamber event a week or so ago, and couldn't resist. I think it sounded wonderful. So nice to meet you all.
Very cool.
That guy over
In
there.
the back? Somebody in the back?
How you doing? Andrew Moss. This is my second or third meeting. Been working in software for the last 5 years, private investor, and helping get 2 startups off it. So I put down the bed water. So very good.
Very cool. Excellent. Got one more.
Michelle.
Michelle.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Michelle Jordan. I am Director of Membership for the Port Orange South Daytona Chamber, and I also have been a Mary Kay consultant for over 20 years.
Very cool. Anybody else? She's my wife, by the way.
Yeah.
People will meet us in different times, different places, and then one time we're together and they're like, oh, you're married. Oh. Hey, so without further ado, let's bring up our, what's that? Did I miss somebody? We'll bring up our presenter today. Karen has a college prep business here she's going to tell us about. So, Karen, come on up here with Step by Step.
This QR code will bring you to my website. It is a website I created. I'm very proud of it, but if you are a website designer and you see some glaring errors, then please let me know. The QR code will be on the next screen as well. And what I do is I am an independent educational consultant. It's called an IEC. That means I help students in high school apply to college. It's a lot more than that though. I don't just help them with their essays and applications. I actually become a mentor to them. Talk to them about their grades, about their activities, about doing things in the community, volunteering. I'm a strong proponent of that. And I get to be very close to them. So I really enjoy my job. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself first and then tell you why I'm here. So about me, this is my family, first of all. You might recognize my husband's face. He's in the back there, Jeff. And our children, Alex and Lauren. Alex lives in California and Lauren lives in Texas. I was born in Boston but moved to Daytona when I was 13. My mom took 5 kids on her own to Daytona Beach and raised us. Amazing woman, and I'm happy to be back here and be closer to her now after living away for many, many years. I went to Spruce Creek, graduated from USF with 2 degrees, one in Russian and one in French, and I didn't have much guidance. I was the first in my family to go to college, and if I could go back in time, one of those degrees would have been business or education. But it's my experience that I can share with the students that I work with now. Let's see, I've been married for 30 years, talked about my kids, we moved all over the place, and we just moved back here in 2022, my husband and I, and it's great to be back home, near our family. I am the treasurer of the South Daytona Lions Club. My mom is the president, so she roped me in. And it's a great organization. I also decided to start playing ice hockey when I was 56 years old.
Wow.
So that is something I did when I moved back to Florida, but it's been great to be back home. So from 1998 until about 2018, I worked in education-related jobs. Prior to that, when I got out of college, I worked for Social Security and loved it. But when my kids were born, I stayed at home, which was the best job ever, and I started volunteering and working in schools. Starting in elementary school as like room mom and PTA person, but all the way up to becoming a substitute teacher, a staff assistant. I was a tutor. In high school though, when my kids were in high school, for 5 years, I was the president of the biggest booster club at the school. And that's where I realized high school kids related to me, and they liked me, and they thought I was smart. Unlike the 2 kids that were in high school that called me mom. It was very different. But I started helping students with their college applications, and that's what made me launch my business once I became an empty nester. So I started step-by-step college prep, and my first year I only had 5 students, but it was a great start. It was the first time I had ever charged anybody for my services, and every year since then, my business has grown a little bit in terms of the amount of students I work with and financially. So I finally had a small net profit in 2022, and this year, my class of 2026 students did amazing. I worked with 28 students. They applied to 180 plus colleges, 160 plus yes letters, so they're very successful, and it's them, but I love that I can help them present the best application possible. Every year I work with at least one student who is on free lunch or reduced lunch at school. I've done that since I started my business. I love that one of my students, who was my very first pro bono student, is now in med school. and she reached out to me to send me a picture of her in her white coat jacket and the fact that she got accepted to every men's school she applied to. So I keep in touch with my kids long after their parents have stopped paying me. And I love that. And I have this bulletin board in my office. This is part of it with all their beautiful faces and thank you notes. And it's a wonderful job. So why am I here then? I think the reason that I want to make some changes in my job, primarily I'm turning 60 in a month, and I kind of don't want to work as many hours as I do between May and October. It's a very, very busy time of the year. But there's another part of it as well. I really want to share my resources with families who can't afford to hire a college coach. And I mean, the vast majority of students apply to college on their own. My kids did. We didn't hire somebody back then. And I want to be able to share my resources with families that could use it and can help them through the process. So one solution I have come up with, and that's why I'm here to hopefully get some feedback and your thoughts about this, but I have access to a website that only IECs can pay into. And this website, it makes researching colleges much, much easier. So my thought is to sell access to the website for families to utilize the resources, but not to work with them one-on-one. I would still have my one-on-one clients, but allow families to purchase the website. So I'm going to show you some screens here. There's a lot of information on them, but really I just want you to see what families would gain access to. So when a family logs into this website, they can look at college profiles for any college in the country, and even some international schools. It can tell them how many students get accepted, how competitive it is, what their average SAT scores are, what their average GPA is, what the costs are. The kids always look at the average scores, the parents always look at the cost. But this tells them, is this college a good fit for this student? And they can look, like I said, at any college in the country instead of jumping from one website to the other, like I did with my kids. Other things they can do on the website is they can look at the majors that the school offers, because if it's a good school for them, it's not going to work if they don't have the major that the student wants. And then there's another page on the website for many colleges called the FISC Guide. And the FISC Guide is kind of like a behind-the-scenes tour guide, in a sense, to the college. Really, really helpful for families that can't tour the colleges in person. So it just gives them information about, like, how's the food on campus? What do students do for fun? It's a great write-up to learn more about the college itself. So my thought with this is I would load 10 colleges into the program after a family purchases it. Once the family decides this is a school that my child should apply to, and they move it over to my list of colleges, then there's even more information available to them. Deadlines. That's something that would be on the very first screen so they know when to apply to the school. If you want to get into University of Florida, you better apply early action because that makes a big difference with your chance of getting accepted. This is the most important part though. It's going to give you the deadlines, but then at the beginning of every application cycle, I go in and research colleges that I haven't researched before to find out the details on the school. What is that school's SAT and ACT policy? Does that college want you to submit a resume? Does that college want you to submit letters of recommendation? Do you have to apply separately for scholarships? all these different things that apply to the college, the information would be loaded there. Am I blocking the screen? Okay. So it's just, it would really, really benefit families to have access to this, in my opinion. In addition to the college application information, I also have loaded hundreds of resources that I've compiled over the years. So the families would be able to go through and look at anything in those categories, and then after they see the categories, I would include an index so they know what to do with that information. If they're completing the Common App, which is the application that most students use to apply to a bunch of colleges at one time, they could look at this index and see there's a video for me to watch to figure out how to complete it. There's items to read that will explain some of the important factors on the application. And there's a template that they can complete ahead of time to prepare for the application opening date. So, where I need feedback is I feel like this can work, but I have some concerns. So I have no idea how to price this because I don't know anybody who does this. Any of the other IECs that I have been in meetings with, they work one-on-one with students just like I do. I don't know anyone who sells access to this website. I don't know if I have any legal problems by selling this website, which includes all of these resources that I've compiled since 2020. Many of the resources, I have like hundreds of SAT and ACT free test prep files on there, and many of them link to a YouTube page or to a website or to a grammar quiz. So I have a question about that. I also would love feedback on the best way to market it. I think it would be great for schools to be able to provide this as a service to their students and families. I wouldn't have any idea how to get in for that. My feeling is I would contact my wonderful group of past parents and they would share the information on Facebook because that is how I have gotten clients over the years. It's always just been word of mouth from my former clients. And then a factor that's important to me is I can't take on, let's say 40 kids sign up for this. I can't take on another 40 students, so I would need to make sure it's very clear what these students are actually purchasing so that it's not another investment on my time over the very busy months that I'll already have with the students that I'm currently working with. And then just any other suggestions in general about my business, any feedback you have would be very, very much appreciated. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Question about your.
Well, hold on one second. We'll get to it. So, awesome presentation. I could definitely see a need for that. Quick question to get us started. Are you selling access to your website or is the website that the data is coming from?
It's not my website, it's a website that I currently pay for monthly as an IEC. So as an independent educational consultant, I'm allowed to purchase access to this website. Does that make sense?
So are you allowed to sell licenses then?
I don't know if I would be selling licenses. I would just be, just like I do with the current families that I work with, I would just be sharing a link to the website.
Because it almost be like where you could take that information, create your own website, step by step, where people can have their own users and buy at the a la carte packages. But you're just pulling the information off. That'd be a really interesting way to look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was the real question I had to start off with was, so you put a lot of information into this system that is your essential knowledge base,
Just mine,
but it's not publicly accessible by anybody else.
correct.
So that's the value you want to be able to sell, along with the data that they have to make available to all the other IECs,
It's a
correct?
combination, exactly.
So yeah, the licensing or the access question is, do they allow you to have non-IEC people access their data? But essentially, you wanna pull your knowledge out of there and put it somewhere else. That's the key.
I don't know if I can do that though without having their side of it, which is the college profiles, the programs tab, the FISCI tab, all of that is part of Custom College Plan. That's the name of the website. So the files that I've added, I can easily pull those off. But the college profiles, that part of it is Custom College Plan. So when I contract with a family, I basically give them access to Custom College Plan. And by doing that, they have access to the files that I've added.
So they have their own login
They
access?
all have their own login, and IECs are charged monthly for how many students that they have on. So once I pass over 55 students or 60 students, the amount doesn't change. So I feel like the investment, it's not gonna cost me more to do this because I already will be at the unlimited package. So I don't see any problem with Custom College Plan because they're just gonna have more people using it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you answered a couple of questions I had already.
Okay.
I think though in general, you have to look at the terms of service, whichever website you're considering pulling data from. So in this case, it sounds like it's all set up for the students to have access through you.
Right.
Okay, so your own knowledge and experience is already captured in everything you added there. My opinion, leave it there, but pull all of it out and then reorganize, edit, editing makes it better, and put it on a newer platform called School, S-K-O-O-L. School is designed for something like this. It's designed to scale. You can have subscriptions to access School. I mean, it could be something like ridiculously affordable, like $9 a month or something. And you could scale quite a lot. I mean, very, very much. And
Okay.
so, School, I think, is a good thing for you to explore. Go there, learn about it, sign up for a thing or two and understand how it works. And then anything that's proprietary, you gotta look at the terms of service on the website. Probably know you can't scrape that data. But anything like YouTube or anything like that, you can reference and post there like other places. So it all depends on the terms of service.
And the college profiles, that type of information that is on Custom College Plan, that's all public data. So they get that information from other sources. So I don't see that that's a problem, but I do love the idea of considering a monthly payment for families that only want the website for 6 months or
Well,
something.
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking that for an affordable price, I don't know what that number is, you'd have to test it to see what works. But let's say just for the discussion, it's $9 a month and they get access to only your information, only your experience, knowledge, and so on. And when they're ready and they pull the trigger for $49 or $149 or I don't know what, then they get access to the platform. And so I think that you would have a huge amount of people take the $9 a month and educate themselves, do it themselves, and never interact with you at all. And you'd have a far greater number than you can manage personally today would pull the trigger on the real product you want to sell, which is the platform, which has great features.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning.
Hi,
Let me
good
make sure I
morning.
understand this correctly. Is college the other place, I don't remember the name, let's call it Netflix, okay?
Stop.
Are you getting access to Netflix to your customers?
Yes,
okay,
Yes.
then that's a term of service problem, I would imagine.
But it's,
Okay.
it's allowed.
That seems to be a problem there. Now, my other thing was, I was thinking, why couldn't you, rather than teaching a bunch of parents, teach a bunch of other people to teach those parents? Like find 3 young people, right here in this room, teach them everything you know, let them go out in the world, let them teach the parents, and then pay money back to you, call it franchising, licensing, whatever you want. That would be my thought. His is good too, by the way.
Okay.
Well, that's her
All right, thank
business.
you.
That's the business. She wants to do it herself.
Hi, Catherine Neal, MacGyver Labs. I was thinking about this, and I think what you've got is the basis for sort of a hybrid. So basically, you have a basic foundational course that somebody can sign up for and take. Then you have the potential to do like a group call. So you have 5 kids, or parents or whatever, where they're getting guidance, but they're getting it as a group. So it's not, it's maximizing what you're getting for your time. And then for the one-on-one, that's a premium upsell. So I just did some quick numbers about what would be reasonable prices for these things. For a base course, the price would be $199. For a mid-cohort kind of thing, where you have a group of kids online, you could charge $1,500. And for a premium one-on-one concierge sort of event, you're looking at anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 that you could be making if you leverage this right. And that way, and if you, in addition, hired some other people, had some staff, so you don't wear yourself out, then you could really be making quite a nice income for yourself.
That makes sense, thank you.
Sure.
Hello, Jared Gargish, One Share Dev. Right here, sorry.
Oh.
Right here. So, I guess, my thing is, the person who runs managing the website, the provider, if you, let's say you sell to a high school, and you get 500 people on, from the high school, they'll notice that in your system. And so, and also if you're dealing with the educational institute, I'm sure they would want to deal with the provider directly and not with you. So I can see it working if you're selling individual subscriptions, potentially not at large bunches. But I would say you run into an issue if you're selling large amounts or bunches of subscriptions to institutions. So it may be worth having reaching out to the support system of, I know it's better to ask for forgiveness and not to ask for permission, but I'm sure the system will note this if you sell in bulk. So that's just something to be wary about. I know some people already address this situation.
I did think about that because it's a set charge after a certain number of students. I do feel like if it was a significant amount, then maybe that would be an issue. But I didn't see anything on the Custom College Plan website that discusses this. And like I said, I don't know anyone who does this, but I just feel like it would be so beneficial for families to have access at a minimal cost, but I know that there's some problems with that.
Hey Karen, great presentation, and I also read through back here some of your testimonials, and it really seems like you care about the students, which is really cool. I just wanted to ask, because I'm trying to reflect on my application process. I had all the information online, and I was more than willing to grind and put the effort in to find that information. I think it's become even more easy now with a lot of AI, where you're able to just generate that information from websites. I wanted to ask you if you've ever considered, kind of what the gentleman said over here, on training other consultants with the platform that you have, kind of scaling out and actual building those role models that you said you were for a lot of students.
I actually never have considered that. I think I've enjoyed doing it all myself, but if I continue to grow, I'm probably going to have to hire somebody or train others. But I haven't considered it yet, but it is something that I definitely will probably need to at some point soon. And thank you for reading the testimonials. That's a really cool thing that I love, that my families at the end of every application season, I ask parents and students to give me feedback. And then if they want to, they can give me a review for my website as well. So that's where those come from.
Yeah, hi Karen, this is Steve from Freshman
Hi.
League Marketing. So enjoyed that presentation. Once again, perfect presentation for 1 million Cubs. I really enjoyed it. I just have a question before I make a comment. Going back to your first slide, when you say your mission is that you are to reduce the anxiety of the college application process. Can you talk to a little bit more about what that anxiety is? Because you also mentioned that you're sometimes supporting parents and helping students understand the value of good grades, etc. Just talk to that a little bit more as to the exact nature of who is your customer, who is that perfect student for your business.
Excellent question. I don't have a perfect student. I have students that run the gamut in terms of what their GPA is and what their test scores are. I think the perfect student is the one who will listen to my advice. And usually, 99% of the time they do. How this works is my very first meeting with families is student, parents, and me over a Zoom call. And 99% of the time, I do not see the parents again until my last meeting, which is saying goodbye to them. There's very few students that I have to say, it's time to have a meeting with your parents, and the kids know what that means. It's because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So that's how I relieve the anxiety, because with my son, even though I knew a lot about this process, he was constantly rolling his eyes at me, constantly looking at me like, that's not right, you know, and that's what I'm saving in these relationships for the kids that I work with, because their parents can continue to just be mom and dad and not nag their child for 6 months during the process.
Okay, super. So my second question is, at what point is your optimal point of intervention between the students and the college? Is it, I had the impression that it was, okay, I've got my high school GED, now I'm ready to go to college, now I need to start applying. It seems to me that you're intervening much earlier in that process, is that correct?
Most families don't reach out to me until their students are juniors. That's when parents kind of start getting nervous. Optimally, starting with students in 9th grade is when I can make the most impact. Because when a junior or a senior comes to me, they can't change anything. Their application is going to be what it is. I have met with students as young as 8th grade. But 9th grade is a great starting point, even 10th grade, because if they haven't volunteered, I encourage them. I kind of force them to find volunteer roles. If they're not studying for the SAT, I enforce that. I make them start studying because those test scores are so important. So to me, the earlier, the better. If I start working with a junior or senior, it's still fine. I still help them through the process, and I think my input really helps on their college essays, because I know what colleges are looking for. That is going to help even if they missed out on some of the things that they could have done earlier in high school.
Okay, so here's my comment. So the business that you're talking about setting up, ostensibly you're talking about setting up, for want of a better word, an aggregator. You're making it convenient for people to find a certain college. But the second part of it is that you're trying to motivate kids and families to do better. I think those two might be, they might be oppositional. So one of the things that I was thinking while you were doing it is that I'm always looking for what is the perfect customer for a business. And you might, when schools are measured, one of the metrics that a school measures itself by is how many of their kids get to college, get to colleges they want. So schools themselves might be your optimal customer rather than the students themselves. And if you're trying to scale, because it sounds to me when it comes across when you're presenting, you're the business, you're the relationship. It's very hard to dematerialize that into a digital So, and the old saying is that you mentioned with referrals and word of mouth, you can build a business on word of mouth, but you cannot scale one on word of mouth. You have to scale it differently, so that's a challenge that we're going to have. So if you haven't already, in order to scale this business or to build a funnel and a pipeline, it's already been mentioned that you will train people to be you. You need to train a lot of mini-me's to be you. And the way that you can maybe build your funnel is to build relationships with schools and institutions that want to improve their own metrics.
Excellent, thank you very much.
I see hands, I mean, took as a lion, I promise you. But as I'm walking, I do want to say, I'm listening to all these comments, and I think you have a much different and bigger business than you can realize. And there's a lot of opportunities for you, especially talking about starting with their young in ninth grade. It's almost like you should be working on your app, where you have an interactive thing where you're a freshman, here's what we need to do. This is, and here's, and make it fun, right? Make little games, interactive. And you start when you're a sophomore, here's what you need to do. And by having access to that app, you also have access to this website. You also have access to online tutors. You also have access to the coaches. And so you have different price points. You really have something that I've really seen before. It's very interesting.
And I actually have handouts back before I don't have an app, but I have handouts showing these are the things to consider in ninth grade, 10th grade. So it would be easy to put those items in an app. And it's all common sense stuff, but it's common sense to me, I guess. It's not to families who don't work.
And I really like what Keith said also. Reach out to the school. This is something that Volusia County could partner with you in Seminole County and Orange County, because it is unique. Okay. Sorry.
Hi Karen, Casey Williams with Casey Williams Counseling and Consulting. Congratulations on your presentation. To echo the fantastic job, very interesting. It's very apparent you're passionate and care deeply about what you do, so thank you for that. So I definitely want to circle back to the whole legality of things, because that definitely, I see that as one of your biggest challenges. And with some quick research online, I was able to find that prohibited actions for this database: you may not copy, sell, rent, license, or publish any part of the database, nor share login credentials. So that piece definitely, I perked up to. And so I was curious if you could clarify, so not what you're trying to pivot into or to scale into, but the current services. If I were a student and I were coming in and working with you, I guess what would our agreement need to be in order for me to have access to that website?
So every student that I work with has access to the website. So part of me being able to, pay for custom college plan a month allows me to share that link with any student that I work with. So I don't know if that answers the question, but yes, that I just, when I contract with a family, the first thing that I do is send them an activation link to the website.
And they have their own username.
They have their own username. The only thing that I have, I can upload files, all of those files. My students have those. My students don't have access to any other IEC's link. So other IECs have their own setup for files. They may not have any files on there. They may have more than I do, but my students have access to my login.
Yeah, all right, that's helpful. And yeah, I think really dotting your I's and crossing your T's with that, making sure that if there is a gap between what you're currently offering and those terms of service agreements versus what you're trying to do. But the other thought that I had, I definitely echo some of the thoughts about extending out and hiring on other coaches so that you're not the one constantly delivering the services. And I know that that's a whole other can of worms in itself, but just thinking about, where you could go to seek out those types of people that would be a good fit. I'm just thinking about me as a therapist. I work with some teens, and this is a big part of our work together. And so my thought is, even reaching out to adolescent therapists and training them and contracting them to be able to provide these types of services. You know, because we're always looking for supplemental income and different ways to use our degrees that isn't formal therapy. And you know that there's a level of professionalism and understanding of human development and child psychology that can really support you. And like he said, you know, trying to motivate these students as well. And I love the idea of making it interactive and making it goal-oriented. You know, I think that would be brilliant.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Coming around, I promise.
My professional liability insurance is categorized as a therapist.
Okay. Nice.
Hi there, Jen Rogers with Just Beachy Clean. I'm over here on the side. There you are. I'm kind of piggybacking off of everybody else, but speaking from experience, I started my cleaning business with just myself, and I was the only cleaner, and I could only do so much in a day. And there were days that I would clean a house for 16 hours, and I'd go home at 10 o'clock at night, and I was just absolutely miserable. And so at some point, my advice to you is you have to decide what you want this to look like. If you want to scale, you are going to have to hire people because you only have so many hours in the day to do all of the things. If you are going to scale this, you have to get all of that out of your head and into systems and processes. Otherwise, it's going to be a miserable ride. Ask them how I know. So I encourage you, like, this is a great thing. It's a great idea, but just really sit down and figure out what you are looking to get out of this because, like I said, you've only got so many hours, but it sounds like you've got a lot of really great things here that you can really make it something big.
Excellent, thank you. Hi, how are you?
I didn't hear the whole presentation, but just from hearing from everybody else said, just to piggyback off of Casey and Heath, just to be a little bit more specific, when you're dealing with the schools, for example, the guidance counselors, the deans, those are going to be people that the kids have to go to when they're misbehaving or misperforming. So they're going to be already the ones that already have the funnel of kids that are going to need these kind of services. That's one. And then twofold, as far as the high schools are one avenue, but also the colleges as well. You know, so it's, you know, you can take it to so many different levels, depending for what you're saying. And I know Casey said as far as for therapists, but I think even more on a, I call this, well, just from not knowing everything, it seems more like a beefed up tutor, I guess you would say. And so those could be also another avenue of people that can help you grow, because once you get connected to the schools, they're going to come from all over the place, you know. So like she said, you have to even know if you even want to get to that level right now. You know, you might have to be working out the inner workings of things before you get to that level. But tutors, I feel like will be even better because they're already in that mind frame. The therapists, we're thinking from a therapeutic lens. You know, tutors have different educational bases that better fit with what you're doing. So those might be people that are already doing it, and they're definitely looking for extra work. And in the schools, you can also probably connect you to those tutors because those are probably they're already connected.
Exactly, true, thank you.
Hi, Andy Clark, All Board Source. One thing that I was concerned with was AI, like how are kids using it, and how will kids use it in the future, and how can you add on to that? Because that's just something for you to be cognizant of and of course, researching. Because I hate for kids to, leapfrog over what you're providing them already.
It's very, very, very clear when a student uses AI to write their essays. No question. I know what you're saying, but yes.
Info,
And you can use AI to research colleges, and there's so many tools out there to do that now, unlike 10 years ago. But I do still feel the guidance part of it is important. Now, I will be missing that selling this package because there won't be any guidance, and I'm not sure how that's going to work. It needs to go to families that maybe have an older child already in school or have gone to college. This wouldn't have worked with my parents. My parents wouldn't have been able to help me through this. Or it needs to be a student that's very motivated and can do the research on their own. So I think AI is going to help them, but I love the fact that this is all under one roof. They log in and everything is in one place. So I see the advantage to that, so hopefully AI doesn't take it over.
I just want to piggyback off the AI thing. You know, I wasn't a huge fan of AI. I'm still not, but it is extremely helpful, right? So I think to piggyback off of that, potentially you could look into a way where if it's all under one roof, make AI a part of that roof. Make the guidance, put an AI agent in your guidance portal on your website, so that way they don't just go use ChatGPT. They can use your service and have AI under that same roof. Maybe that's something to look into as well.
Great idea. Thank you.
All right, we're coming up on that time. We got our final questions coming in, so your hands aren't up already. I'm sorry.
Since I work with AI architectures and such, there is a way to embed AI in a very niche sort of way and set it up so it's not just the Wild West of AI. It can be set up very, very specifically so it's in line with what your philosophy is, what your thoughts are, and it basically puts handles on the AI specific for what you're trying to do. And probably that would be part of it. But the other thing too is, I know, having worked at places like MIT, kids go into like MIT and they've been the rock star at their high school or wherever they are, and all of a sudden every other kid has been the rock star in their high school.
Yes.
And that is a wall that they run into, and it really freaks them out. Because now they're just another rock star in a school of rock stars. And keeping things together and knowing how to approach that and find your place in that kind of community is really, really difficult and hard. But I do think that there are some places where you could use AI judiciously to help move this forward and take some of the weight off of your shoulders.
Thank you.
All right, we got one last question, then we'll give Val a second.
It's not really a question, more of a comment, but I was just sort of noodling this over and I thought, if I were in your shoes, I personally, this is my opinion, but I personally am not a fan of hiring people and having liabilities to pay. You're either paying money or time, running an adult daycare at the worst, right, you know? And so I would try to do this as much as I could by myself with maybe a virtual assistant or two. I need help, but there's other ways to get the help, and it's very practical. But I ran some numbers. Back to school. School was designed for what you're trying to do.
Okay.
It absolutely is. And its purpose would be educational and nurturing from a marketing perspective. People know they have an issue, they need to find a solution. They see your school community, and that's a solution. You could have 2 tiers. I ran some numbers. Let's say nationwide you found 2,000 students who are interested in these 2,000 families. It's just a random number. It could be 1,000, could be 5,000. You adjust as you set your goals. But if you charge $7 monthly, super affordable, no barrier to entry, right? That's $14,000 monthly, $168,000 annually. Not bad. Let's say you charged $199 annual, or there's a monthly plan for the second tier. You adjust your content. There's a lighter version for $7 a month. And if you pay $20 a month, or $240 a year, or $199 if you pay it one time up front, well, 2,000 times 199 is $398,000 annually. If they pay monthly, it's $480,000 annually. So there's a chunk of money to pay for help and tools and an AI consultant to really. And I suggest that your content on your school community would include podcast-style interviews with folks from the colleges that would draw more people to come and see what did they say on the interview, etc. It's a community. You've got to go to school and just check it out.
Okay.
I think I would do as much as I could on my own, and I think school is the tool that makes it all work phenomenally well for you. After that, whoever wants to go on the platform, whatever, you don't care. The school is where you're going to make your living.
Good, thank you so much.
All right, Val, close us out.
Wrap it.
Well, I'll close it out.
Karen,
Yes.
I've seen this type of business model before, so please don't feel alone and just like, oh my God, we're all trying to hustle here and there. I think the value is really you, your guidance, your support, and your expertise and knowledge. The licensing and you allowing 50 students on the website, that's just a part of it. Make that clear on your offering. And I have a software suggestion for you because I've seen a lot of trainers use this software in what you're doing. So to what Jen is pointing out, have those systems in place. That software will allow you, so your point 4 tier, like how to avoid becoming, it's a system.
Okay.
Maybe that software can be a solution for you, and then tier it up into a done for you package, like a starter package, low-hanging fruit, $7 in, but they can do it themselves, and then as they progress, then that will tier up your products and offerings. But remember, the product is you, not that website.
Okay.
So I just want you to lean on to that, okay, please. And we'll talk about that software. I will talk to you on that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right, give it a hand for Karen, everybody. Thank you. We got a lot of feedback today. I hope you go back and watch this video because I wouldn't remember anything. But we always have one last question.
Okay.
So you've heard everybody's feedback. What is the one ask that you have from the 1 Million Cups community that you have immediately today?
Goodness, didn't I already have about 10
What's your number one? Top tier.
Wow. I guess my ask would just be to maybe bear with me. And if I implement some of these things, maybe come back and see if it's working and get some additional feedback. I'm sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much once again. That was an awesome presentation. Guys, give one more hand. Now, before we sit down, this is the most